Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josey. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josey. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josey, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is hard money lenders and why they're not created equal. When you're hustling to close a deal fast, hard money lenders can seem like the superheroes of real estate funding. But don't be fooled. Just because they wear capes doesn't mean they save the day the same way. Picking the right lender can make or break your project, so let's break down what sets them apart. Here are 5 actionable tips to help you size up your hard money lenders. Number 1, compare interest rates and fees. Not all lenders play fair. Some hide high fees in their fine print or charge sky-high rates. Always ask for a full breakdown and compare others side by side before signing anything. Number 2, check their funding speed. Some lenders promise quick closes but drag their feet when it matters most. Ask other investors about their real turnaround times and don't be shy about demanding transparency. Number 3, evaluate flexibility on terms. One lender might require hefty down payments or strict credit checks, while others offer more wiggle room. Find a lender who understands your situation and is willing to work with you, not against you. Number 4, assess communication and support. This one's so important. A great lender should answer your calls, explain the process, and treat you like a partner, not just a number. If you're getting ghosted before the deal even closes, imagine how they'll treat you if the deal goes sideways. And number 5, research their reputation. Tap into your investor network and online reviews. A lender with a solid track record and happy clients is worth their weight in gold. Don't risk your deal on someone with a shady past or bad reviews. So, RAIN Nation, remember, not all hard money lenders are created equal. Do your homework, ask the tough questions, and partner with lenders who help you succeed, not just get to the closing table. That's how you'll flex your badassery and build a real estate business that lasts. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. Today's guest is my friend Lisa Coleman, a seasoned real estate pro with over 30 years experience in North Carolina's Triangle area. A true Tar Heel native, Lisa combines Southern charm with serious industry know-how. After earning her finance degree in LA, she came home to build a thriving career as both an agent and investor, handling rentals, vacation properties, fix and flips, and now innovative lease-back deals on model homes. Lisa's a proud mom of 2 and devoted pet parent to 3 fur babies. When she's not working deals, you'll find her soaking up the sun on the coast, her ultimate happy place. It's my pleasure to have her on the show, so welcome Lisa Coleman. Hello, my friend. What's that?
Sounds so amazing. I like that.
You are amazing. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for being here. I had so many people just kind of reschedule last minute. I'm like, what badasses do I know that I can get on the show right away? So you jumped to it and you said, I got a great project that I want to share. But before we get into that, how did you get involved with real estate? I seriously, come on, 30 years? Really?
May 5th This year was 30 years.
Oh my goodness.
It's quite an interesting story. I I'm originally from a small town. Well, born on the coast of North Carolina. I guess that's why I love the beach so much. They say once you're there, you never lose your veins. If you're
Hmm.
there. But I grew up in a small town right outside of Raleigh called Dunn, and I went to college, came home, bought a small little house, fixed it up, happy as could be in it. And then I saw a house that I had noticed for years. You know how there's the one house you ride by and you're like, oh, if I could ever have that house. Well, one
Yes.
day I rode by and there was a for sale sign in the front yard. So I'm like, my house now. I had just rehabbed the house I was living in. I guess you could say that was my very first ever rehab, even though I didn't know it was going to be a fix and flip. I'd only lived there 6 months. Called the agent. She was the same agent that sold me my house. I said, "Hey, this is great. Put my sign in the yard. Put that house under contract. My house, being the person who can fix up houses, sold in 3 days, which you never hear about that in Dunn, North Carolina, in the 1990s. And I was excited. My house is under contract. We're going to closing on mine. And then we found out that the ex-husband of the woman who was selling that house refused to sign the deed, which the agent said, I didn't even know he was on the deed. I mean, now this is years before internet, but I mean, pretty much, there's a courthouse. You can go and research there. What it came down to is he refused to sign all the paperwork. He was still on the deed. Was not disclosed to us because he had paid some child support in cash. And she said he still owed her this, and he said I still owe you that. And I'm like, I don't care. I just want the house. I couldn't buy the house, so I had moved back in with my parents.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness.
and which was fine. I mean, within about another 3 months, I bought another town. I bought a townhouse. I was fine, but it just kind of irked me that this agent really didn't seem to care, and
Right.
she really did not seem to care. But she did care when she had talked with a friend of mine, and she called me. She said, "My understanding is you're going to call the real estate commission and file a complaint." I'm like, "Well, I think it's warranted."
Yeah, absolutely.
Warranted. And she said, please don't do that. I have two kids, and I didn't file the complaint. I said, you need to do a better job. But then I thought, well, and I was working for my dad. So, I mean, I was just out of college. I'm like, I could do this job. So I really went and got my license to sell real estate to make sure what happened to me never happened to anyone else. So it was one of those,
Nice.
protect the world type of thing. And here I am almost 31 years later.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, I actually used to own a property in Dunn. We had a rental down there,
I
and
remember. Yeah.
yes, and it actually sold fairly quickly. So we were grateful for that. It was, we had one renter in there. He was fabulous. And then we needed a little extra cash because it's been a rough couple years in real estate. So we were able to sell that one, and thank goodness quickly. So I do like that area. But now you are doing a lot of investor things, and I want to hear how that transition happened.
Well, let's see. I, I don't think it was like hey, I'm going to move over. I had a couple of townhouses in Dunn, moved up here, kept those as rentals, as
Okay.
time goes on, got married, had kids, ended up selling one of those, 1031 exchange, bought a beach property, the whole thing, and then ended up just selling everything and didn't have investment property for years. And then slowly but surely got involved with investors. I was working, and it kind of goes back to your hard money lender,
Right.
badass moment at the beginning of the podcast. Um, I was working with an investor. He actually was building new homes and got a phone call from the hard money lender saying, "Hey," to asking me all these questions about the house, and I'm like, "Who are you? I really giving this information to you. I don't work for you. I mean, who are you?" And it was someone I mean, I can say his name if you'd like for me to, but someone that we both know. His name's John Ford. He's a hard money
Oh,
lender here in the area. Great guy. But and I said, "Who are you again? And why are you asking me all these questions?" And yeah, I had no clue who he was. I didn't know he was kind of running Tria at the time. And he explained to me. He goes, "Well, I have the loan on the property. I was a real estate agent at this point for 20 years. maybe 20, has it been 5 years? Maybe it's been 5, 6 years. Anyway, I didn't know what a hard money lender was. Had no idea that I figured all these people that did all these fix and flips either had all this money stuck back under the house,
Exactly.
or, had a great relationship with a private banker. I had no idea that there were people out there, that would loan money. And then, but until I learned more about it from John and them, I thought, well, gosh, it's nice. This man's got all this money. I thought he had all this money in his mattress. And then I learned, no, they get it from other people and other organizations. And it was a wake up. I'm like, wow. And that's how I kind of got into it, because John explained it to me, and I thought, wow, he'll loan money to people like me, loan all of it. You can buy a house with none of your own money and sell it and make money and walk away with, it just seems so easy.
Right, exactly. And I love that you're bringing all this up, because I can remember my mom was a realtor growing up. And when I got into real estate investing, and I joined an education program, and it said, flip houses with no money out of pocket. I'm like, bullshit. So, and it's about hard money loans, private money lenders, things like that. But it was a mindset shift of, that there are these opportunities out there, and they work directly with investors. So I do love that you brought that up, because so many people don't understand that aspect. They do think it's money sitting in your mattress, and that they have all these opportunities, but then they'll hear, it's a 12% interest. What? 12%? But it's a shorter loan. So they're taking on a higher risk, which is why they charge more interest. But there's great money there. I also was shocked that they typically pay 100% of rehab budgets, which was mind blowing to me. So, because that was another key thing where, like, well, who's going to pay for all these repairs? So anyway, we went totally left turn, going that direction, talking about hard money loans. But I do think it's really important for the listeners to know that there is a totally different game when you move over to investments. And also, as an investor working with realtors, you really need a realtor who is investor friendly, who understands hard money loans and what you're going through. And because you all know so many people in this industry. And we were just talking about, I had a call right before this, and you're like, oh, I've known her for years. I'm like, of course you have, because Lisa, you know everybody. But that's where you want to help your client. And in a situation like that, you may guide them in the wrong direction by steering them away from hard money loans, which happened to one of my students, which now, Lisa, I know you would never do something like that. But yes, because you are in the game now. But we are talking about your first project, and it was a flip, correct?
It was a flip, because I met the hard money lender and they explained, and I'm like, wow, I'm going to make a bunch of money. Let's do this.
And you did this as a partnership with our mutual friend Leanne, correct?
I did at that time. We are no longer in partnership, but this time, this was the very first thing we decided to do it together, and it was a big learning moment. I will just say, we'll go through that, but for both of us, it was a huge learning moment. So.
And are you still friends to this day?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Because...
I mean, we did a girls' weekend at the beach, and she was there, and then.
Well, the reason why I ask.
Vision boards together. It's hanging on my wall. We went over there and had wine and made our vision boards for 2026. So.
Well, the reason why I ask is just so many people get into partnerships because they're unsure in the beginning, but it ends up ruining friendships. So I'm just glad you all survived it, because she is top-notch people. Actually, that's how I met you, is through Leanne. So
yeah, there we go.
Yep, full circle. All right, so tell us about this first property. Give us a little description on it. How many beds and baths? What year was it built? Where is it located? Let's get into the nitty-gritty here.
So this property had been on the market for a while, listed by Open Door. They bought it, and I kept watching it. The price kept dropping and dropping and dropping, and it was in the North Hills area.
Oh.
Which is a hot area. And I live down the street, actually, not like down and over. And I knew the area, and I'm like, I really think that could be something. The market was just taking off and all of that in that area. So I'm like, okay, so it was your traditional split level, which, 80% of the original houses in that area. My dad, before he passed away, used to say, we lived on a split level on North Hills Drive when you were like 3 or 4. I'm like, Dad just described 80% of the houses on the street. you know, I can narrow it down anyway. But and he talked about this house, but we bought that and I went and looked at it and I said, I really think we can make this great. And I really think it can sell for X. Got the loan. Let's see, it was 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. Like I said, traditional split. Here's a little kicker. It actually backed up to Millbrook Road. It had, which is for listeners who are not familiar with Raleigh, 4 lanes with a center turn. It's a busy road.
Yep.
But in that area, it doesn't matter because people want to be in that area. So you could live on Millbrook Road, you would be fine. Fenced backyard, nice little storage building, and we took it from zilch to, it is gorgeous. It's been 4 or 5 years, but it is a gorgeous house, or it was when we sold it.
So let's talk briefly about Open Door. And I have walked Open Door properties. Are they still in business?
They are. They kind of took a little bit. Actually, their stock has exploded recently.
Really?
Yes, it's been very interesting. New CEO, the original CEO came back, kind of like Apple. We'll run you off and then we'll bring you back. With all that. But Open Door is still in business. They did take a little bit of a downturn during COVID, and we bought it right before things started getting tricky in COVID.
Gotcha.
But they did take a little bit of a downturn during COVID because, but at that point, people were paying, they were not the only game in town. If you had a distressed property, you could have a property that was on its last leg and people were still going to pay $50,000 over because they had nothing else on the market to buy.
Right.
So they took a little bit of downturn. They are still, I'm not seeing as many of their listings anymore, but for a while, there were quite a few out there because
it's a pretty unique concept, and they have great marketing. I remember like competing against them for properties, when I was dealing direct to sellers, but their renovations, I feel like it's a national company, so they're not truly monitoring what they're doing. And some of these contractors that would get in there it was like a remnant sale. I remember looking in a couple of them. It was like this countertop in this bathroom and then just random stuff all over, mismatched flooring everywhere. I'm like, what were they thinking?
Well, they were renovating. I would say 90% of the properties they don't renovate.
Really?
No, they don't, because this house they definitely didn't renovate. But
Gotcha.
do is they're like, I do not work for Open Door. I've never sold anything to Open Door, but this is what I've been told because I've had clients that have chosen to go that route. They come in and they say, okay, we're going to give you X, which appears to be market value, but first of all, you got to take 5 to 6% off as their marketing fee. Well, that's their commission that they're going to have to pay when they sell it, when they list it and sell it on the next end. And then they do have inspections. They come in, do inspections. And then my understanding is they say, hey, this, and this came up in an inspection. So you need to give us a credit for X because we have to fix this to put it back on the market. And then they usually don't ever fix it. I know that for a fact because they told us they replaced an HVAC on one of their listings I sold and they didn't. And
wow.
It came down we got a big, nice credit for it. So.
Well, you did an excellent explanation of them. And that was actually what I used when I would walk a property and they, my future clients would have a Zillow notice, a Open Door notice, other postcards from other people. And I would say, listen, you'll probably get a better offer from them, but the number I give you is what you will get at closing. They're going to call you, once they get you under contract, once you sign the papers, and they're going to tell you, no, we got to drop the price here, or you're going to have to do the repairs. So that was actually one of my marketing tools to get properties under contract if I saw an Open Door in there. But yeah, I also like we're totally promoting Open Door here, but I love that anyone could walk their properties because it was just like you would get the app or something and then they would just give you the code. So that always made me nervous. Anyway, that's so random, but do you think they still do that because of everything that happened with
but they've narrowed it down. They only give agents and they only give you the code during right at the time frame. Used to, they would say, here's the code. Now it's more of in the app. You walk up with the app and you do that.
Interesting.
Sure. Than it used to be, with that. But
Yeah.
But there's still, I think, I mean, I've shown a few this year, maybe 2 or 3 to clients, but
Interesting.
not out there. But anyway, it was an open door listed house.
Okay. We totally went off topic there. So an open door listing and
And it was just, let's get in there. I think I feel like I could sell it for 465.
okay.
They had it listed for three something, like 350 something. I think at the end with credits and everything, like I said, I've actually retired this file because it's been over 3 years.
Mhm.
You have to keep things but for so long. I think we ended up at the end like paying 330 something for it. And I thought in my mind, and maybe it was 2 something, but anyway, my mind was, hey, it's only going to take X to fix this house, because I had never.
So that's my next question is what were your estimated repairs at the time of purchase?
Well, I estimated the repairs, and they were, I mean, I thought, okay, if we can get it for like 350 something and we put 50 in it, and I'm the real estate agent, so the listing commission will take we'll work on that and all this kind of good things. I thought, what, if we can flip it, if we can do it quick, like it probably get done 2 months, do this, if we can make $30,000-$40,000, everybody's happy. That sounds like a good job. Well, just to let you know, most short-term loans are for 6 months. We paid 2 extension points, which is actually, did we pay 460 something for it? No. We got more than that. But anyway, most private loans are for 6 months. Your job is to get in, rehab it, get it on the market, and get it sold, and finish it 6 months. After that, you start paying extension points, and they're good for 2 months. I can't remember if we paid 2 or 3 extension points, but we went over by at least 4 months now with that.
Well, that was a private loan though, correct? Or was that a hard
private loan? So we had to pay, like I said, it was private money lender with that. But yeah, I did not have the contractor. I had the contractor go in, and great guy. He's done 2 or 3 houses for me. He said we could, and there was a little caveat with this, but he said, hey, I think we can do it for this. It was nothing hard written. First rule, get it hard, get it written on your thing.
Get a contract, yes.
Contract, we had a contract, we didn't have a hard estimate, and that was the thing. Of course, we were getting into COVID, we were getting into supply chain issues and things like that, and it took a while for some things to come in. That's when HVAC was hard to get in because of the metal, and all that. It was just, so yeah, it did not go like we thought it was going to do. But it was an education. We paid for college. I paid for this education. I learned a lot.
So have you taken an education course?
Oh yes, I mean, so now since after that I joined TRIA. I've taken everything, and I've gone to Johnson. I've done all kinds of things now.
Awesome. So
best educator, I will say that experience is the best educator sometimes.
Absolutely. So you estimated about 2 months to renovate, and then maybe a month time on the back end to sell it. What were your actual rehab numbers?
So I believe we ended up, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but I tell people this all the time. I $500 myself to debt. Not to death, but to debt, DEBT. Because I was like, well, we knew we want to take this wall out. You don't want to have anything chopped up. Let's open this up. Hey, can we extend these stairs over here and do this? Yeah. How much is that going to be? About $700. Okay. Can we turn this area over here, since we don't have a pantry, to a pantry closet? Oh, we can do a wet bar, and we can do this and that. Okay. How much is that? Well, it's about $1,500. Well, that's fine. I think we probably went maybe, we'd probably be 6 figures over budget by the time I was done. I'm not lying, because, and let me go ahead and, and I'm counting the extra interest in there. I'm counting the extra interest in there from the delay. Yep. And we'll talk about, I know, inspections because we didn't inspect it. We had him look at it when they bought it, and the inspection, things we had to do in the crawl space, always go in the crawl space, little things like that. But also, one thing people need to understand too is that I learned, the big thing I learned is I like really nice things.
Yes.
you're flipping a house, you don't have to put the really nice things you like. You don't have to put the $800 chandelier that you just love in the dining area. But because you're in North Hills, you think you do need it. No, you don't. They're putting LVP in multi-million dollar houses, so so
Yes. Oh my
but
goodness.
like I said, and full disclosure, my business partner had the numbers. She worked those numbers, but we made no money. We made no money. We did really well on the second flip, and that helped pay for this flip.
So I love that you're saying that because a lot of people have that habit. They want what they like. And that was really hard for me in the beginning because you have to renovate to the masses. What would more and more people like, the more unique you get. Like you can do some risky things, but I would do it with like paint because a can of paint is a lot cheaper than doing a whole tile wall or something. But that is so, so very important. And you said a couple other things. You want to have a contract with your contractors. You want to make sure that you have your payment schedule. You want a full bid from them. You want to create a scope of work. And that's just such an important tool. And this is so important that you're doing this, but you are coming in with the education of being a realtor with 20 plus years under your belt, knowing what sells. And so you have that vision to go in there, but you didn't have the investor mindset behind it to get to that point. So what was that kind of transition like for you?
It was hard because I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it was, you think, well, I've been doing this 20 years. I know what I'm doing.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know what I'm doing. And sometimes I wonder if I still know what I'm doing because we're always learning something. And I mean, and this was not the first time that I trusted the contractor, and just, not that I would still use him to this day. I'm going to go ahead and say that he did a great job. You actually met him at a dinner party.
Yes.
We were at, but great guy, but just, and I think one thing too people need to understand is when you meet your contractor, see how many people work with him. I mean, you can have smaller contractors, but they have whole teams of people, not one or two guys that do everything in your way, because that will take a lot of your time.
Huge.
Interest, and all that. So
Yeah, you want a general contractor who has tons of subs. You don't want one contractor who's a jack of all trades, because if you look at their van when they pull up and it says plumbing, HVAC, tile, all these things, I just want to, I have my tile guy who is just perfection. And he has told me his little tricks, and now I can't unsee things like when you have your faucet for the shower, you need a line going right through it, or it needs to be in the center of the tile. Or if you're sitting at the toilet, the line needs to be going right from the center of the toilet. So he starts in that area and he's just meticulous. And so would I ever want him to, install the faucets? No. Would I want him to put in the vanity? No way. I want him to do tile, and that's what he does best. So this is a huge lesson to make sure that you have one person who knows the right subs to hire underneath them. So Lisa, thank you for bringing that up. That is huge. So you estimated about 2 months to do this project. So how long did the renovation actually take?
I think we finished. We paid 2 extension points. We got it on the market after 10 months.
10 months, okay.
And we're talking a 2,000 square foot house. But I mean, all joking aside, it was at the start of COVID, and we did run into all the supply chain issues, this issue, that. But the thing is I didn't plan on that. And of course, we can't plan for a pandemic. But now I've learned I plan for everything. If this happens or that happens with that. But the good thing was it went under contract in 4 days. So
nice.
That was great. But then, at the end,
we'll get to the end in a second. So were there any surprises during the renovation? I mean, I understand that you 500 yourself to debt. I'm going to steal that. Because it's so funny when you're evaluating stuff. What would this cost? I don't know. Throw $500 at it. That's what I tell students a lot. Throw $500 at it. But but like removing a wall or something where they're like, oh, wasn't expecting that. Anything like that?
So Not in this house. And a couple
Okay.
of other houses, yes, we have found surprises. In this house, there really wasn't because it was, your typical 1960s, early 70s, split level, North Hills, all that. Some things I learned that I've carried through to this day, such as we're talking a house built before 1978. You're talking maybe possible asbestos, possible lead paint. Now, full disclosure, I've never had in 30 years anyone test for lead-based paint.
Really?
Never. And I tell people, you can test if you want to, but this house was built before 78. You can go to the depths of that wood and you're going to find some type of lead-based paint. And I'm going to tell you right now, this owner is not going to strip every piece of paint off of this drywall and trim for you. So just keep that in mind. So we had stipple ceilings. Some of it were, I call them stipple, but popcorn ceilings.
Uh-huh.
Some of them were smooth. I learned a valuable lesson. I learned that to get rid of popcorn ceilings, you buy a 1/8 drywall and you cover it up.
I love it.
There you go. So that was my debt, education. So that was one thing. But one thing I did not do, which I always do now, is look in the crawl space. Because we had a termite inspection done because I'm big on North Carolina, 2 houses, the ones that have had termites, the ones that will have termites. You live in one, you're going to have one or the other, even if it's a new construction. But the termite person looked at it. They're also a waterproofing company. They said, look, you've got a little moisture over here, but we've had a lot of rain and blah. They didn't do like the full on thing. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. We found out we had to have the whole thing when they had done the inspection. The buyer did. We had to have them come back out. I think it was $5,600 to put in some French drains and do that. Little things like that, which not really isn't little, but there were things like that. We didn't really run into major. Oh my gosh, look at this now. This whole wall's got to come out. We were fortunate in that, but of course we spent so much money on everything else because I had all these brilliant ideas that. I think that was,
All right.
Here.
So you bought it for, we think around $330 to $350. We aren't positive on that. And originally your ARV was $465, and this went really quickly. So what did you actually end up selling it for?
$460.
$460. Perfect. Great.
Very happy with that, with no concessions. So I was very happy with that. So,
and then
that number was right.
And what?
At least that number was right.
So you had the crawl space issue. Any other issues? Because this is where I start sweating, is like what happens from when we get under contract to what are they going to nitpick about? And so just the crawl space stuff?
No, just the crawl space, because the contractor is so good that,
Good.
and again, I like nice things. So we had really nice appliances, we put in a nice refrigerator. I don't do refrigerators at all anymore. Learned that. I told a contractor today, a first-time home builder, and she was like, well, I need to put in the stove and the fridge. I said, nix the fridge. I said, you're going to spend $2,000 and have to warrant something that you don't need. Then buy it. But I bought really nice tile backsplash, and I did really nice this and that and things like that. So I was fortunate enough that the crawl space was the major thing, but
Good.
Nothing else, just really nice stuff.
In a split level. So what's that?
It didn't look like a split when I was done with it.
Well, very good. Yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with split level homes.
I'll send it to you. I'll send you the old listing. You're going to be shocked.
Okay. Yeah. So with all the numbers now after closing and holding costs and extensions on the loans and selling it for $460,000, what was your overall profit?
Oh, we didn't make any money. We would have made a profit. We didn't make a profit.
How much money did you lose? Do you know?
I'm sure we were well over 5 into that house. Pretty much.
Wow.
So what we started doing was, and again, it was that $500 here and there.
Yep.
We knew how much our loan was for. So, most private money lenders have a cap. They're like, we don't loan more than X,
right,
on any project. So I think the maximum loan amount we could do was $400. So we were coming out of pocket. So we came out of pocket on that.
Which is hard to track. Yep.
And that's another thing I learned. It was hard to track. And then I tried to track it myself on the next project, and that was hard. So now Cynthia is our bookkeeper, and everything we buy gets a receipt and gets sent to her on every, because I think we're up to now, my current business partner up to like 20 something projects, either long term, short term, hit this and that. And everything gets sent to her with the address on it. It gives it, and I mail her. I don't even email it. I mail her like a package, like every 2 weeks, with everything in there separated by property and all. She loves it. She's like, I pull out the envelope. I know it's for this property. I work on that property, then I work on the next one, and that she can tell me to the dime, to the penny, what
Wow.
we have spent on the property. So,
Huge lesson learned there. And it's so easy to do. And I'm so glad you brought it up and you're so transparent about it. So going back to my badassery bestowment that I did at the beginning, though, when you're working with a hard money lender and they're paying 100% of that rehab budget, that is actually a great way to force you into sticking with certain numbers and creating that scope of work, just for the listeners out there who are like sweating, listen to some of this. But that is a great way because, if you budget, for example, I just bought this beach condo. You and I were just discussing this, and I only budgeted $2,500. I'm kicking myself in the ass. $2,500 for sliders, for sliding glass doors at the beach. I know, they're way, way more money.
between 5 and 7.
Say it again because you cut off in the beginning.
Between 5 and 7,000.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, that's probably what it's going to be.
Absolutely. So
40. I think it's 43 miles per hour. I've learned we've got properties at the beach, so
Yep.
I really know too much about this now.
And so going back and looking at, I'm like, shit, I only budgeted $2,500. I'm like, and then I blame Vance, of course. I'm like, Vance, you should have known to put a buffer in there. But we always try to over budget for those things to have a little padding in there. And we do have a contingency, which is very, very important. That's another key point, is at least 10%, if not 15 to 20. If you're brand new at doing this, I would do a 20% contingency on your rehab budget just to have that extra buffer in there. So Lisa, after completing this project, did it scare you away from doing another one?
I went right in and did another one inside the Beltline in Longview Gardens. I mean, I went from the frying pan to the fire, but that one went okay. That one actually went okay. We had a nice little profit on that, so that one went okay. But key lesson learned on that one is, if you get a property at a heck of a price, sometimes it's better to turn around and sell it to another wholesaler investor, make a little bit and move on, instead of taking the time frame.
Yes, huge. So what have you learned from this first project that you now apply to all the rest of your other projects?
Well, and honestly, and I'll tell everybody, it took me a little while I learned a lot of things. It takes a lot. Sometimes you don't apply them because you don't realize that they were lessons until it happened again. One thing I did learn is that I don't spend my money on anything ever again.
Right.
It's either the lender's money, the private money lender's money, whether you get a net 30. One thing I did learn is, and we've just picked this up, and this is so important. We've just learned this probably more so in the last 6 to 8 months. Work with vendors that will give you a net 15, net 30, because.
And what does that mean to the listeners?
I'm sorry, net 15 means by the time they finish their work that they do, or they're supplying you materials, whether it's Lowe's or whatever, get a net 15 or net 30, meaning it's due in 15 days, it's due in 30 days. Because if you're doing a draw, if the vendors do not understand how this works, you can't just say to your lender, especially a few that we're working with now, you have to fill out a spreadsheet. You've got it. Now, a lot of them are using apps on the phone.
Yep.
That are geocached to the address. And you have to, a lot of people, and that's a whole nother podcast, you can't just send in photos and say, here's the house. You have to go to where you are and take the photos there and upload them from there, because they're tagged with that GPS location. They know it's in that house, because too many people have borrowed money on this house and said the repairs were done, and then they go, and
right.
It wasn't even the house. So I've learned that. I've learned, again, the importance of really keeping up with the spreadsheet. And then I learned that I don't like doing that. So we pay the bookkeeper. I'd rather pay somebody $30, $40 an hour to keep up with those numbers. It has saved me a lot of money. So,
Absolutely. And it saves time too, because, that's time that it's taking away from you finding your next project. So I love that you shared all of that and you were just transparent. Wasn't a slam dunk by any means, but it was your education, probably the school of hard knocks on this one. And you still are friends with Leanne, who was your partner on this one, but I see how it has just accelerated you to doing things so much better the next time around, etc. So I appreciate you sharing all this. And talking about the draws, I'm going back to that for a second, because when you're using a hard money lender, they have to complete a certain amount of work before they will release the funds to you. So that is a whole other component. That's probably another podcast as well. So
I mean, I'm learning more now. I'm working with a lender I've never worked with before, and they're very structured, and I'm appreciating it.
yes, absolutely. Well, Lisa, I appreciate you sharing this so very much. I want to go to the second part of the podcast here, which is what makes Lisa Coleman a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. And the first letter is B for book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
Okay, so I knew you were going to ask this question. So full disclosure, I knew she was going to ask this question. If you had asked me this question last week, I would have said
same way.
I know. If you'd asked me last week, and the answer would always be the same: Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And if you've never read it, read it. But the way I think you should read it is read the book, highlight, tab, whatever, listen to the Audible, go back and read the book. It's very interesting. I did that, but love, love, love that book because all the subjects in that book, he said, I've never seen them do a day's work in their life. What we consider work. So, but read that. But now, as of this week, The Secret. I just finished a deep dive into The Secret and all of that. Have you read that?
Oh my goodness. Years ago. I love The Secret. So Jack Canfield is in there, and I took a course with Jack Canfield just because I was like, it's the guy from The Secret, but he does a whole success principles and everything. But yes, The Secret is amazing.
The Secret, and they also have manifestation cards now that they have. So I bought those. And of course, Dr. John DeMartini, I like him. And I actually signed up for a class and I didn't read the time frame, and he's in Australia. And I thought it was 5 p.m. and it was 5 a.m. and I missed it. So I said, I'm sorry I missed it. And they're like, our times will align again, just in the total thing. So Think and Grow Rich, but now The Secret. So I'm really into it. So
very good. Yes. And The Secret is a law of attraction. So absolutely, yeah. And I was stressing out about people rescheduling podcasts all the time. And then I'm the law of attraction, but I was like, who do I know? Lisa Coleman. Let's get her on the podcast. So I attracted you. All right. The first A in badass is for advice. You've given great advice through this whole podcast, but what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice I've ever received is from, believe it or not, my former CrossFit coach. Way back when, before I had a bunch of health issues, I was working hard, diligently, to make it to the CrossFit Games in the Masters division. And that's for 40 and over. And of course, I would have been like in the, the 45 and over, 45 to 50 age group. And I went to her one day because everybody that was training with me on the competition team were all half my age. Here I am 47 and they're like under 30. And I go to her and I'm like, and I could keep up pretty well with them. And I said, do you think I can do this? And she said, I believe anybody can do anything they want if they put their mind to it and really want it. And every time I start to do something, I'll give a shout out to Chanel Miller. I haven't seen her in years. They closed down Raleigh CrossFit because they sold the building downtown with all the stuff they're doing down there. But I'll never forget her telling me that. And I've told my kids that. They're like, I'm like, you can do anything. Best piece of advice someone ever gave me. You can do anything you want. Not just me. She said, I believe anybody can do anything they want. They put their mind to it and they really want it.
I love that. All right. The D in badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
Oh gosh, I haven't thought about this. I don't know can I say I don't know if I have one thing that's I do have a desire to spend, once my daughter graduates from high school, to spend half my time at the coast and half the time there. So maybe that's what it is get this, and yeah, that's exactly what it is freedom.
There you
It all
go.
comes down to freedom. And yeah, I just, and I've done this in my coaching stuff before. It comes down to freedom.
Yep.
I want freedom to go and do what I want and not be chained, like when I was selling real estate, to a location and a group of people.
So where do you go? Do you go to North Carolina, or I know you go to Florida coast, but what coast do you go to in what coast?
We have properties. My current business partner and I, or one of my business partners, we have properties, Airbnbs at Ocean Isle. And so we like that area. Sorry. Hang on.
No worries. Who's here?
Wanted to come in, but one of her babies wanted to come in. So there, and then we've also been looking some at the Gulf Coast of Alabama. That's a really good area for investment right now. So
really
beautiful area, beautiful area, but mainly, very southeast part of North Carolina.
Gotcha.
Right towards I like it down there. It's nice and quiet and fastest growing county in the state. So
very good. Yep. I just invested myself. All right. The second A in Badass is for aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
Oh gosh, look on my vision board, because I have it over there in one area. Well, I mean, in different areas. One big goal I have is by the end of 2026, I want to own $10 million in real estate.
Nice.
That's one of my big goals. And then, and some of the stuff, I'm a big vision person. So I'm looking over here at my vision board. That's one of my big goals. And this is a silly one. I want to fish in the Lady Angler of the Big Rock tournament next year. I want to fish in the Lady Angler division the first day. I do. So you want to fish? We can go. We'll get a charter and we'll go out and we'll fish and we'll try to win the Big Rock Blue Marlin tournament. So.
Oh my goodness. I had no idea.
I've never done offshore fishing in my life, but I want to fish. But I have it on my vision board. I'm going to fish in the biggest tournament on the East Coast. Why not,
I have 5K on my vision board, and that shit ain't going to happen anytime soon either.
Oh, I'm doing that now. I'm doing that at the EXP convention. I'm going to run that one. So I'll help you do that.
You crack me up. All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Well, first of all, one of the big ones, and I'll tell everybody, is you can't just partner with anyone.
Huge.
You can't do the same thing. My current business partner and I, we do not do the same thing. She is out at the houses, monitoring, going back and forth to all the ones we're working on right now, monitoring the people. I sit here at my desk and I handle finding the properties, negotiating the properties, paying the bills, working with the bookkeeper. But we've implemented a lot. We've implemented a bookkeeper. And actually now I just hired about 3 weeks ago a VA that handles all my social media and all that now, because, it can take me hours to come up with good ideas and to do that. And we've just hired her to help promote not only my business, our rehab business, our Airbnb business, because we have lots of different things. So that's part of it. I'd say systems, hiring the right people to do the things that you don't need to be doing.
Right.
You don't need to be doing.
Absolutely. Have you read the book Who Not How?
I have not, but it's on my list. I have a list of 100 books, and it is on my list. But
that is the one that was like putting the right people in the right seats on the bus for for success. Yes.
I didn't know that until, I would say, I just learned that probably in the last year and a half. Eric Timmermans, who's been on your podcast before,
yes.
He told me. He said, "How much are you worth an hour?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Let's say $150. He said, "Then every task that costs less than $150 an hour to do, you must put out. You must broker out." And I'm like, makes sense to me. It's very simple. Makes sense to me. So
huge. I'm so glad you said that. All right. The final S in Badass, Lisa, I could talk to you all day. You know that. The final S is for success. And I know you said freedom, but what does success mean to you? And you can keep saying freedom, because that is a great answer for that.
Well, it is not, it's how you feel. To me, it's what are the things I love, not what are the things I want. So what do I love to do? I love to go to the beach, especially with my family. our Airbnbs, it's not a big fancy, oceanfront property. It's like you have a great condo. We have some properties, right across the bridge that we rent out. But to me, that's going to the beach. It doesn't have to be, it's the experience of going down there with my girlfriends. We had 9 of us. We just went. We had a
Nice.
great time. I think it's freedom and being able to do what I want to do when I want to do it, not saying when I do this or when I have this, then I will do that,
Right.
because we may not be able to go and do that. We might not be here. We don't know what's going to happen. So being able to say, you know what, I can let go of that right now and not do that task because I want to go watch my daughter cheer. I want to go visit my son at Auburn this weekend, things like that. Right.
With your three pets at home there. So, and I have 3 dogs myself. So, that does not.
And I do apologize. That's only one barking though. The other one just follows and looks around. So,
well, Lisa, I appreciate you coming on the show and sharing your badassery and being so vulnerable with, it wasn't a great deal, but it has just propelled you to get close to 10 million by the end of this year in real estate. And I'm just
2026.
Oh, 2026.
About 8 million between now and the end of the year. I like my number today. Another key to success. Look at your numbers every day.
Very, very good. Well, I am just so very proud of you. I'm honored to call you friend, and I just think you are one of the greatest people out there. So thank you so very much for being on the show today.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Absolutely. And that is all. Thank you for listening. We'll catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josey by visiting therealjenjosey.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.